The Ministry of Public Health, Social Development and Labor wants to implement new policy rules for work permits for prostitutes and exotic dancers immediately. This appears from a memorandum about commercial sex workers that appeared on Friday in the National Gazette. Under the new policy, brothels and strip clubs must have a business license from the Ministry of Justice, but they must also meet the requirements the Ministry of Health demands for obtaining a work permit for commercial sex workers. The memorandum notes that the current policy that condones prostitution only requires limited conditions for obtaining a work permit. They refer only to the cost to process the work permit and a statement about the requester's health. For the rest, there are hardly any obligations for club owners, the memorandum states. Lawyer and former Minister of Justice Roland Duncan does not agree with the change of policy because he believes that St. Martin would be breaking human trafficking treaties signed by St. Martin. The former minister explains.
One, I question the competence, I question the legality of the labor ministry's involvement in this matter. I believe what they're doing is contrary to the treaties against human trafficking and human smuggling. The criminal code, I believe, has been passed. It has been vetted by the Constitutional Court, which should go into effect very shortly. According to that new criminal code, prostitution in itself, the act of sex between a woman and a man, or a man and a man, a woman and a woman, for money, is not necessarily punishable. Only the business of prostitution. This is in line with what internationally is looked at the matters, particularly what is done in Holland, or the legislation in Holland at this moment. In other words, a woman is free to do with her body whatever she pleases. It's her body. The moral supervision by government has been withdrawn. What government has done, however, is to bind the business of prostitution. So if a woman is earning her living by prostituting, then it's a business she's running, and then that business is covered by the criminal code. And she or the person that operates her business otherwise to do that would need a permit from the Minister of Justice. Now that has been vetted by the Constitutional Court some time ago and found to be constitutional. So there's no more argument as to how to approach this thing. We are signatory, we are part of treaties against human trafficking and human smuggling that frees the woman, particularly, from the control and call it the bondage of the owner of a house of prostitution. That's why we had a case some time ago, and if you look at the content of the judgment, you see that the court is saying, you cannot dictate for this lady when she's going to come, where she's going to go, what time she's going to do, how she's going to dress. You can't restrict her freedom from these type of things. That's what the court ruled before these laws were in effect, because based on the worldwide treaties. So when the Ministry of Labor is saying to someone, you need a work permit under somebody's guarantee, you are forcing that woman under the control of somebody. That's against the treaty. As simple as that. Besides that, government that is supposed to be protecting these women, particularly in the health area and against such dominance and abuse, is charging a hefty fee for it. These women pay what? Between $800 and $900 for being on an island or work permit for 3 to 6 months. Count what kind of income the government has from this. Now, this is the same government that is supposed to protect these people. So I'm saying, wait a minute. Take Holland as an example. We like to take Holland as an example. In Holland, the income of a prostitute is estimated, and she pays income or profit tax on it. Not a fee for a work permit where the lady comes in here and pays $800 for 6 months and makes whatever money she wants to make. Since you're operating in the economy, you should contribute to the economy by paying taxes. Big difference between that work permit fee and then they leave without any income, without any paying any income tax or whatever. So I'm questioning the legal competence of the Ministry of Labor, the propriety of what they're doing, and the treaties that I just mentioned, if that's legal what they're saying. I think the prostitute should be treated as a business person. That's what it is. They're living, they're eating from it. And that business person, from a now legitimate source of income, a permit from the Minister of Justice, pays either fees for having their own business, which everybody else does, and prepays on their profit taxes if that is a matter. Of course, the law needs to change. We need to deal with it. We need to come off our moral closet and deal with the matter openly, because that's how these ladies will be protected against diseases, against all kinds of abuses, because you're dealing with an open day instead of pretending it doesn't exist, pretending there are animations and exotic dances. Everybody knows what they're doing. We have to be open and be honest about it. Then, we treat foreign women as such. What about the local women? Local women don't need a work permit. But is there not local prostitution? What is being done against that? That's supposed to be regulated also. So the Labor Department doesn't have jurisdiction over prostitution as such. They're treating foreign women that come here as if they're workers, laborers. That's wrong, as I just explained. But the other people who do the same job, what is doing? Protecting the labor market? What labor market? No? So I'm saying, when you look at it from here, you need to approach it maybe cold, professionally, without the emotional and moralistic preaching that we like to do. And you'll see that as far as I'm concerned, the Ministry of Labor should refrain from that. Government should change the laws, further change the laws, as was started in the criminal code, has been considered constitutional, and then seek to protect. There is a whole committee set up under the leadership of the Director of Immigration to supervise and to monitor against human trafficking and human smuggling. That committee should be charged with coming up with recommendations, proposals, legislation, draft legislation to deal with this comprehensively.
Former Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs of the Netherlands Antilles, Roland Duncan.